She died in 1977, in a car crash. A girl named Brea. Some years later, her eye is inside someone else, a kidney inside another, and neither of them knows that Maya's cells are still awake. One becomes the vessel for a god. The other becomes the only thing that can stop it. December 1977. Brea, age 7, dies in a car crash. Her twin sister, Aya, survives. It should have ended there, but it didn't. Because Maya's body was still usable. Her organs were donated to 2 people. Melissa Pierce received a kidney. Aya received a cornea. Neither knew they'd just become part of something larger, because Maya wasn't normal. The game never gives you the full lab report, but it leaves the trail. Maya's mitochondria were already evolving, not corrupted, not infected, just ahead. Maybe she was part of a forgotten experiment. Maybe the mutation began in her naturally. Maybe the original Eve never fully vanished. Maybe a fragment made its way to Maya. What matters is this. Maya's cells didn't die with her. They kept breathing. Inside Melissa. Inside Aya. They waited. Not plotting. Not growing. Just adapting. The mutation bloomed in Melissa. In Aya, it found Maya waiting and formed a stable coexistence. By the late 90s, Melissa Pierce isn't a child anymore. She's an opera singer, successful, ambitious. But behind the scenes, she's dying. Her body is rejecting Maya's kidney. She's taking immunosuppressants, trying to survive the transplant. And that's when it happens. The cells inside her, Maya's cells, wake up. Not because they're attacked, but because they're unopposed, and the mutation takes the opportunity. Maya's mitochondria don't just activate, they reorganize. They stop working with Melissa's body and start working through it. Not as a disease, as a leadership change. Melissa doesn't lose herself. She becomes something else, something older, something with a name from Japan. Eve. The mitochondrial consciousness reawakens inside her. And this time, again, it has a plan. To reproduce. Melissa was never possessed. She was repurposed. A perfect host, because her body didn't fight back. Brea didn't survive Eve. She carried her. The same mutation that bloomed inside Melissa was also present in Aya. Same donor, same legacy, different result. What happens next is harder to explain. Aya begins to manifest powers. Cellular acceleration, pyrokinesis, traits linked to mitochondrial autonomy. But she never loses control. She doesn't melt. She doesn't ignite. She remains Aya. So why didn't she change? The game doesn't say, but it implies. Maya was her twin. Their DNA was nearly identical. The cornea transplant didn't just carry mutated mitochondria. It carried memory, compatibility, recognition. Aya's body didn't fight Maya's cells, because part of her still was Maya. The mutation entered Aya, and instead of conquest, it entered symbiosis. That's why Eve couldn't fully reach her. Aya wasn't immune. She was already occupied. Mitochondria aren't just the powerhouse of the cell. They're independent. They have their own DNA. They reproduce on their own. They evolved separately from the rest of us. They were never fully ours. We just got used to sharing space. In Parasite Eve, that space stops being shared. The mitochondria stop cooperating and start leading. And it's not magic, it's inheritance. Melissa and Aya both received cells from Brea, but the mutation wasn't viral. It didn't spread. It activated selectively based on environment, compatibility, and timing. Maya's mitochondria weren't evil. They were decisive. They tested the conditions of each host and chose how to behave. In one body, they bloomed. In another, they synchronized. And in both, they remembered who they came from. When Eve rises through Melissa, it's not out of hatred. It's purpose. She doesn't rant. She doesn't seek revenge. She wants to reproduce, to create a new being, pure, complete, mitochondrial, free from human compromise. And she nearly does. She births the ultimate being. The horror isn't in what it is, but in how much sense it makes. It doesn't scream. It looks at you. Not like prey, like redundancy. Aya watches it form, and she knows this isn't destruction, it's succession. But she stops it anyway. Not because it's wrong or evil, because it's not ready. Because we're not ready. The ultimate being is incomplete, still vulnerable, still slightly human. And that's its only weakness. Aya destroys it before it fully stabilizes. She doesn't win. She interrupts. Because in that moment, she isn't saving the world. She's just buying it more time. Eve wasn't summoned. She was inherited. She didn't arrive through invasion. She was already there, in Maya, passed on, split between two bodies. And each one responded differently. One let her grow, the other held her in place. Not through willpower, through memory, through compatibility. Melissa broke under the pressure. Aya adapted to it. And Maya? She's the reason both existed in the first place. So no, Parasite Eve was never about stopping anything. It was about watching something old wake up again. Something you thought belonged to the past. Stretching, pulsing, testing new homes. Not to destroy us, just to see if we're ready to be something else.